In today's video, we will be discussing about ophthalmology case taking. It is very simple. It is similar to that of medicine or surgery case taking. You all know general case taking, right? In which there will be their name, age, sex, address, occupation. You will write all of this in one sentence, like a 33-year-old or some aged person of name, female patient from so and so village, who is a so and so worker, came with a chief complaint of. You will say chief complaint. What is their main complaint? Why do they come to the hospital? You will write that here with the chief complaint of so and so. Since how many days or months or years, you will write like that. And then coming to history of present illness, you have to write chief complaint in the words of patient. You should not change the words into scientific words or something like that. You have to write in the patient words. In history of present illness, you will ask more, like you will elaborate this chief complaint. If the chief complaint is foreign vision, you will ask the onset, duration, and any risk factors, any associated factors like polyopia, colored halos, or pain, photophobia, redness, lacrimation. All those will come under associated factors. You will discuss, you will ask about those things in history of present illness. That is, elaboration of chief complaint is history of present illness. And then past history. What is past history? Whether they have this complaint somewhere in the past, similar complaint is there or not in the past, or if not similar complaint, are they diabetic, or are they hypertensive, or if there is asthma, epilepsy, tuberculosis, all those things comes under here. What you have to ask in past history is diabetes, hypertension, asthma, epilepsy, and tuberculosis. If they had these diseases or having these diseases, you have to ask them in the past history. And family history, if this chief complaint is present in the family, right? Then personal history, you have to ask about their dietary habits dietary habits, and sleep and appetite, and bowel and bladder, and also whether they are a smoker or alcoholic. Now we have completed general history: name, age, sex, address, occupation, chief complaint, history of presenting illness, past history, family history, personal history. Now we will go to examination part. In examination, you will have general examination, local examination, systemic examination also will be there. In cases of surgery or medicine, importance is given to systemic examination more than local examination. In surgery also, in some cases like abscess or something, we will give more importance to local examination than systemic examination. So you understood, right? In ophthalmology cases, local examination is most important one, so I will discuss this in detail. Before going to that, general examination, you have to know whether the patient is conscious, coherent, whether she is cooperative, she or he is cooperative, or orientation to time, place, and person. You have to know their orientation to time, place, and person. And piccolo. What is piccolo? You all must know by this time, right? Pallor, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, lymphadenopathy, and edema. What is pallor? Anemia. If there is anemia, you will keep positive. If there is no anemia, you will keep negative. And likewise, you will do all these examinations. You must have read this in your physiology itself, so I am not going to detail into that. And after piccolo, you will ask about, or you will check about vital signs. What are these vital signs? These are pulse, temperature, BP, that is blood pressure, and breath rate or breathing rate. You will check all these things and you will write the findings here in vital signs. Then coming to local examination, we will discuss this in detail now. So coming to local examination, in this first we will look at the head posture of the patient. It will tell us whether he or she has astigmatism or not. How do you tell that? They have astigmatism, they will tilt their head. So with the help of head posture, we will know whether they have astigmatism or not. And facial symmetry will tell us about facial nerve, health of facial nerve. And ocular symmetry, this will tell us about whether there is exophthalmos or endophthalmos, etc. Then after we check these things, if they are normal, we'll write head posture is straight. If it is straight, you will write like this, or if it is tilted to one side, you will write tilted to right side or left side. Mostly it will be straight and you will write it straight. And facial symmetry, you will write normal if it is normal. If it is abnormal, you will write abnormal. And ocular symmetry, if it is normal, you will write normal. Now individual eye examination, you have to examine both eye. Even they have chief complaint only in right eye, you have to examine left eye also. So we will write these things now. What you will examine in these eyes? First of all, okay, why I have drawn these is to make you understand, to make you remember easily what are the things we have to examine. I have drawn these two diagrams. First of all, you have to examine eyebrows. We will write here eyebrows. What you have to see in eyebrows? You have to see their position, whether they are lifted or they are drooping or they are in correct position. You have to know their position, you have to observe their position. And then you have to observe color of eyebrows, and you have to observe cilia. Cilia means this hair of eyebrows, how they are oriented. You have to observe the cilia. And second is eyelashes. These things we'll write here, eyelashes. What you have to observe in this? Number of rows of eyelashes. If there is increase in number of rows, what do you call this as? Distichiasis. And color. What if they are of a white color or they have got discolorated? It's called poliosis. Now this thing, what is this? Eyelid. We have completed eyebrow, eyelashes, now eyelid. What you have to observe in this eyelid? You have to observe its position, just like eyebrows, whether it is mostly everted or it is drooping or it is normal. Margins of eyelid, whether they are turned inward, they have turned inward or they have turned outward. If they have turned inward, it is called entropion. If they are turned outward, it is called ectropion. Or if it is normal, you have to observe that thing. You have to observe movements. You have to observe the movements of eyelids, whether they can move, whether they can completely open eyelids or not. We have to know the closure. This will help us know about facial nerve. Health of facial nerve will be known by this. Now we completed eyebrows, eyelashes, eyelids. Then this thing, what is this? Whole of this? This is called palpebral aperture. Eyelid is called palpebra, right? In between these two palpebra is an opening. Opening is called aperture. So this is called palpebral aperture. palpebral aperture. What you have to look in this palpebral aperture, whether it is normal or enlarged, which is seen in exophthalmos, or small, which is seen in ptosis or anophthalmos, etc. And total globe. We made this till here. We completed 4 things. We remembered 4 things in this diagram, and we move on to this diagram. This is globe. So we will write globe, eye globe. Now what we will see in this globe, its position and its movements. And next one is conjunctiva, that is covering this sclera, and eyelids also. Inner surface of eyelids and sclera will be covered by conjunctiva. So we will write conjunctiva. You have to see if it is normal or not. And then after conjunctiva, if we go inside, this is sclera. We will write sclera. Sclera is normal or not. And then the only outer surface that is left is this one, that is cornea. Cornea is normal or not. And then if we go deeper, we have completed this thing and this thing now, that is anterior chamber. You have to see anterior chamber depth and contents. In cornea, you have to see its size, its surface, its sensations and transparency. So we have completed up to here. And what is that behind this? This is iris. We will write it here, iris. What you will see in iris? Color and pattern. What is the color of iris and what is the pattern of that? And then in between these two iris, what is this? This is called pupil. You will see if it is normal or not, and also if it responds to light or not. That is pupil. And then we completed up to here. And what is this? This is lens. We will write here lens. What you will see in lens? Its position, its transparency, iris shadow. What is iris shadow? We will make iris here. This is pupil, and we will see lens through this pupil, right? And if you do oblique illumination, you will observe some shadow like this on the lens. It is seen only in immature senile cataract. Okay? And then we completed this diagram, and after that diagram we have 3 things left. These are lacrimal apparatus, visual acuity, color vision. Lacrimal apparatus, you will see if it is patent or not. And visual acuity, you will see their visual acuity, will measure their visual acuity by Snellen's chart or something like that. you will write like this, 6 by 18 or 6 by 16, depending on how you examine. Okay, if they cannot see properly, counting fingers, hand movements, perception of light, if they cannot see anything in this distance, we will go closer and we keep our fingers in near to their face, and we will ask them to count them, and this is counting fingers. And hand movements, if they cannot count fingers, we will move our hand in front of their face and we will ask if they can perceive any hand movement or not. And perception of light, if they cannot perceive hand movements also, then we will put a light in front of their eyes and we will ask if they can see anything or not. And color vision, we will write it is normal or not normal. This completes our history taking, and we will have to write a diagnosis, right? And this is called provisional diagnosis. Provisional because we are not confirming the diagnosis. We cannot confirm the diagnosis just by history taking. So we will write it as provisional diagnosis. The main cases given to you in your exams are cataractus cases. This is the long case that will be given to you. In cataract, this can be senile cataract, senile cortical cataract, or senile nuclear cataract. In senile cortical cataract, again this can be mature or immature. So you have to know the differences in these things. If you know the differences on how to diagnose mature senile cortical cataract or immature senile cortical cataract or senile nuclear cataract, you can easily make a diagnosis. This will be dependent on the lens transparency. We have written here, right? This one, and iris shadow and visual acuity. These three things determine that whether it is mature cortical cataract or immature cortical cataract or nuclear cataract. Lens transparency. In mature cortical cataract, lens will be pearly white. In immature cortical cataract, lens will be grayish white. And in nuclear cataract, it will be yellowish or brownish, and it will be sinking to the bottom. If it is Morgagnian cataract, it will be sinking to the bottom. And then iris shadow is seen only in immature cortical senile cataract. And visual acuity, we will check their visual acuity and write that. Mainly by the lens transparency and presence of iris shadow, we can diagnose it as either mature senile cortical cataract or immature senile cortical cataract or senile nuclear cataract. Okay, with this we complete case taking of ophthalmology. We discussed long cases mainly. Thank you for watching my video.